Hello everyone, this is a quick tutorial on constants and statics in ActionScript. Variables hold a specific value or they reference another object or another variable, and their value can change later in a program. Here are some examples of variable syntax that we are familiar with. As you can see, variables can be strings, numbers, and Boolean values, as well as expressions. Constants, on the other hand, are variables whose value never changes, and they must have their value assigned to them when they are declared. Some benefits of using constants are they take up less space in memory than variables, they are more efficient, and this saves in processing the constant.
Syntax of a constant. We can create constants when we use the keyword const and we capitalize the name of the constant. Here we have three constants that I have created. Notice that their values never change. Pi, the speed of light, and gravity of the moon. We can create many other kinds of constants.
We have some built-in public constants, and these add event listeners. You can see that click and enter frame are both constants.
In summary, constants are variables. Constants never have their data changed, and to write a constant, we write const in place of var and capitalize the constant. Statics are methods and properties we access through the class. We cannot use the keyword this when using statics. We're not using a constructor method. In AS3, we use the keyword static when we make a static function or a variable. We underline statics so that we know we are using statics in a UML. Statics can be private, public, protected, internal, or user-generated. The keyword static specifies that a property belongs to a class, not the instance. And that's why we're not using the keyword this. The static attribute can be used with properties declared with var, const, and function, and an instance of the class. They are useful for storing and sharing information that applies to an entire class of objects. Of what benefit are statics? Okay, let me tell you. The utilities class could contain different static functions that you might need in other programs. You can write a static function to compute random rounded numbers for your AS3 games and save the function to your utilities class to reuse in another game. Other static uses. We saw Jason make a selectable button in our videos. We saw him create static padding for the buttons or for the layout. When we use our math class, we're using a static, and when we use event listeners, we're using statics. Here are the references that I used. Class called Beach, and I've written out my public static variable. My shell is a string. I have not assigned a value to it, only a data type. Let me go back into main. And as we've said, we have to access it by the class beach. And my beach is not showing up, so I need to import up at the top. So I need to do a control space. There it is. And now you can see I've got my import at the top here. So now I should be able to come back here, put my dot, and there's my shell. And I'm going to set that to a value. Angel wing, which is the last shell I found at the beach. And now I'll trace that. Again, I'm accessing by the class my shell. And now let me run that. And there I have it down here at the bottom, angel wing. Okay, we can also do a static variable. Do public static constant const. You know, a constant's going to be capitalized. So my shell, I guess I should put the underscore so that the we can tell it's two words. Again, it's going to be a string. Let me back that up. It's going to be a string. Sorry, I have a cat that's sick and he is playing down here on the floor. He had surgery and he's feeling better. And I can't write string to save my life right now. Okay, we have public static constant. My shell, remember a constant needs to be all in caps. I've data typed it as string. So let me go over here and go to main. Again, I have to access it through the class, beach, and there it is. And constants, we have to assign a value. And I've messed up. I just realized I did not assign it. So what's going to happen is it's going to not give me anything. So let me go back. But this is good. You can see how not to do it. String equals caps. Don't need caps. Equals. Let's pick a different shell. Horseshoe crab. We have a lot of horseshoe crabs where I'm from. All over the beach all of the time and never alive. Okay. And now I can, because I've already assigned it, I won't put anything there. And now let me trace it. Again, I access it by the class, my shell. Now I can run it. And there we have it here at the bottom, horseshoe crab. So here we have done a public static variable and we've done a public constant variable. Let me do a function. Okay, we've done variables, so let's do some functions. We have public static function. Turtle walks. This will be a value, and that's going to be, let's say that's a string. No, let's do Boolean. And that will return value. Okay, we have a return because we've got a return data type here, and it's going to return this value here. So let's go trace that. And remember, we've got to access this through Flash Builder or through the class Beach, and that value is going to be false. We don't have turtle walks in the middle of January. We will in May. Now let's set this to a variable. Walks Boolean trace walks. Okay, now let's run it. And there we go. We've got a value of false. We can change that value. Say it is now May. And we have some turtles coming. And we've changed our value to true. Let's do another one. Private static function. How about num turtles on the beach? That'll be a value, and that'll be a number. It can be a number. See what I did? I didn't put in my bracket. There we go. Okay, so our last public function here, our last public static function, we're back in main, and we've written var num, which is a number, is equal to our class beach dot num turtles. And num turtles is our variable. We've set the value to 2, and we're tracing num. Okay, and we got 2. So we'll go back to our class and we'll recap here. We've got public static variables. My shell is a string, and this is the way you write that. A public static constant, and remember we capitalize that constant. We also have to set the value for the constant when we declare it. We have a public static function, turtle walks. Our value is a Boolean value, so that would be a true or false. And our data types need to match here. So if we're having a return data type of Boolean, then our value is going to be a Boolean. And also, over here in main, we have to make sure that the value we put in here is going to be a Boolean value. So, and then here. So we have to make sure all that matches. This is our the same type of function. It's just we're using a number data type rather than a Boolean data type. Again, that data type has got to match in 4 different places. Here in the value, here for the return type, and over here in main, when we write the variable, we're getting a number and we're expecting a number here. We could do an expression here too. We could do times 3 or times 3 and run that. See, and we're getting 6. So the value types, you can put expressions in here just the way we were doing with our objects last month. Thanks.